Hello, and welcome to the 7th part of the series, Death, Where is Your Sting? Now, we're still talking about Sheol, and I want to just ask the question, can someone return from Sheol to the world? And the simple answer is yes, but only rarely. Some examples. In John 11:43-44, when he has said these things, he cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The man who had died came out, his hands and feet bound with linen strips, and his face wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." With Lazarus, Jesus presumably in some way retrieved Lazarus' soul and spirit from Sheol and reinserted these into Lazarus' physical body. Elsewhere, I have suggested that if the soul and spirit is taken from a person, that the physical body will die. So it also seems natural to suppose that the opposite could be true. That if a dead corpse is re-inhabited by a soul and spirit, then the dead corpse will come to life. So perhaps this is what happens when a dead body comes back to life. Now, Samuel, in 1 Samuel 28:11-12, then the woman said, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" He said, "Bring up Samuel for me." When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice, and the woman said to Saul, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul." This witch was used to summoning up her familiar spirit, a demon, and she was used to this demon. Now, remember that demons know a huge amount and have no physical limitations. So, in times past, this woman would have used this demon, her familiar spirit, to provide seemingly correct information to her customer. But on this occasion, the familiar demon did not appear, and hence she cried out in a loud voice. This event must be viewed as something abnormal, and not any kind of permission for us to try and contact the dead. The Bible is very clear. God does not want us contacting the dead, or even trying to. Now, Matthew 17:2-3. And he, Jesus, was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Now both Moses and Elijah had been dead for 1400 and 900 years respectively, and as far as we know, were doubtless comfortably ensconced in the good side of Sheol. The 3 disciples with Jesus seem to have been under the impression that Moses and Elijah were physically there, rather than them just being apparitions. All the more so that they clearly heard the conversation, which is recorded in Luke's Gospel. Then there's the case of a child resurrected by Elijah, 1 Kings 17:21-22. Then he stretched himself upon the child 3 times and cried to the Lord, "O Lord my God, let this child's life come into him again." And the Lord listened to the voice of Elijah, and the life of the child came to him again, and he revived. The word life here is the animating force of life and is sometimes translated as soul. Thus, the soul or spirit of this child returned from Sheol. Again, as with Lazarus, this suggests that the return of the soul and spirit kind of automatically returns life into the body. 2 Kings 13:20 to 21. So Elisha died and they buried him. Now bands of Moabites used to invade the land in the spring of the year, and as a man was being buried, behold, a marauding band was seen, and the man was thrown into the grave of Elisha. And as soon as the man touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood on his feet. A curious incident here, where a dead chap was about to be buried or entombed and came back to life merely by touching Elisha's bones. There is so little to go on here that we cannot really make much sense of what happened, and we certainly don't know how long this chap was alive for. Lastly, there's Jonah's prayer while in the fish. Jonah 2:2. I called out to the Lord out of my distress, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. And then moving on to 2:6. At the roots of the mountains I went down to the land whose bars closed upon me forever. Yet you brought up my life from the pit, O Lord my God. So clearly Jonah, prior to being in the fish, went down into Sheol, and then God brought him back, and this was the resultant prayer. And there are many other examples, though out of the total human population, it is still a very rare event. Now, I just want to summarise where we are with things. Prior to the cross, for everyone who died, their soul and spirit went to Sheol. There is an idea of there being a good part of Sheol for those who are destined to be saved, and a bad part of Sheol for those who are not destined to be saved. As to which destination was in store for any individual depended solely on their actions and decisions while alive. So that concludes the 7th part of this series, Death, Where is Your Sting? Thank you for watching.